Hello birders, I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and we have a Taiga Flycatcher here in downtown Vancouver. So here's the Vancouver Aquatic Center right over there. This flycatcher is often seen down there. And then turning around this way, we have the waterfront there, and I think the bird is down there now with all these birders who are standing there looking at that tree. So this Taiga Flycatcher is here from Siberia. It normally breeds in Siberia. It winters normally, this species, in Southeast Asia. So places like Thailand, Myanmar, also India, southern China, and so forth. So it's remarkable to have this bird here right now. It's only the first one documented in Canada, the second one documented in North America, at least outside of Alaska. There was one seen in California about 20 years ago. So this little bird, this little gray and white Taiga Flycatcher, is attracting a lot of attention, seen by many birders in this little park. So let's try to get a look at it, and then I'll tell you some more about its migratory routes and some of the behavior. Okay, I'm with a big group of birders, and they've found her up in this tree. Well, it's a young bird, so I'm saying her, but it might be a young male. But up in that tree up there is where the bird is, and there's a bunch of people very happy to see this bird. Okay, so we've had pretty good looks at this bird from underneath these trees here. I got some video of it. Lots of birders having fun, and lots of people walking by and wondering what everybody's looking at. The bird, this Taiga Flycatcher, is flitting around up in these trees, but it sometimes comes down to these concrete blocks down here and fly catches in the leaf litter.
First one in Canada, so it's very special. Do you see it?
So this Taiga Flycatcher that we've been watching down here near the Vancouver Aquatic Center is a young bird. It's a first-year bird that would have hatched in Siberia back in May, June, July, would have been fed by its parents for maybe a couple months, them taking care of this young bird. But then the parents eventually head south on migration, leaving the young to fly later, maybe a couple weeks later, on their own from Siberia to Southeast Asia. So this species normally spends its winter in places like Thailand, Vietnam, even India, but places generally in southern to Southeast Asia. This bird, for whatever reason, decided to fly eastward and then southeastward, and here we have it in Vancouver, Canada. Now, how do birds find their way? So these young birds that have to go on these long distance migrations in their first year of life, how do they find their way? Well, they use the magnetic field of the Earth. It's quite amazing, but birds have been shown to be able to use the magnetic field. They also use things like the sun compass, the star compass. They're often migrating at night, so they're using stars in combination with the magnetic field. You know, that's how they actually determine where north is, where south is, east, west. But there has to be more to it than that. Somehow these birds have an instinctive urge to fly in a certain direction in the fall when days are getting shorter. And they have a different urge to fly northward in the spring when days are getting longer. It's a bit of a mystery how the genes encode for this in different species, but it's clear that the young bird has this instinct to fly in a certain direction. This bird, for whatever reason, didn't want to fly southwest towards southern Asia from where it was breeding in eastern Siberia. for some reason it decided it wanted to fly directly east and then southeast to get here. And it's a bit of a mystery why some birds would do this, but this phenomenon has been seen in other migratory routes where sometimes birds get the compass direction sort of about 180 degrees off. And so you have birds that breed in central Siberia, winter in Southeast Asia, that sometimes show up in Europe, and it's thought that that is a 180 degrees kind of different migratory route. Here, going directly east is a little different than that, so it doesn't kind of fit that pattern. Or maybe it does. If this bird was breeding in eastern Siberia, maybe its instinctive direction would go to the southwest, bringing it down to southern Asia, and instead it went perhaps initially kind of in a northeastern direction and then east and then eventually southeast to get here. We don't know, it's a mystery, but it's really a nice special thing for people in Vancouver and North America to get to see this rare species, the Taiga Flycatcher. Now, this bird is a flycatcher, which means it unsurprisingly catches flies. That's how it makes its living. And in the breeding season in the forests of Siberia, there are not many insects to catch. So that's why it undergoes these long distance migrations. It appears to be finding a lot to eat here in this park. There's lots of leaf litter, there's lots of tall trees. We see it fly catching. There are some insects flying around, not very many. But the question is, will this bird be able to survive the winter here? And I think perhaps it will. It's a south-facing slope, so it's a little bit warmer. We're having a warm winter here in Vancouver. No significant snow on the ground yet. So perhaps this bird will be able to survive. A lot of people who stop and talk with us about, wondering where this bird came from and stuff, they want to know, is it going to breed here? Well, no, probably not. First, it doesn't have a mate, but second, their instinct is to fly south for the winter and then back north in the breeding season in the spring, and then find a mate and breed there. So there's a very good chance this bird will survive the winter here in Vancouver, but come springtime, we'll head back towards Siberia. And it's been shown that in a lot of species, if they take a kind of an unusual route south somewhere, they'll learn during their first year of life, they'll learn during that migratory route, and they'll be able to get back to their breeding grounds in the spring. So there's every chance this bird will be able to do that, and perhaps then it will come back here in the following year, because birds are known to often use the same wintering sites if they survive more than a year. So we'll see. Another interesting thing about this species is the names we use for it now are entirely different than the names even just 20 years ago. Currently it's called the Taiga Flycatcher, whereas back then it was called either the red-breasted flycatcher or the red-throated flycatcher. So the names in English have changed. The name in Russian is Mali Mukhalovka, I believe. Mali Mukhalovka. And that means the small flycatcher. So this name, the Taiga Flycatcher, why is it different than, red-breasted and red-throated flycatcher? Well, it turns out this species was split. So there was a species that was called the red-breasted flycatcher that ranged from Europe all the way across Russia and Siberia. And it was decided that they were really two species. So the red-breasted flycatcher is now west of the Ural Mountains, and the Taiga flycatcher is east of the Ural Mountains. So the English names have changed, but also the scientific name has changed. So this is now known as Phasedulla albicilla, whereas back then it was known as Muscicapa parva. And so both the genus name and the species name have changed. Phasedulla from Muscicapa was due to a large-scale rearrangement by scientists of some of the birds within the flycatcher group. And the species name has changed because of that split with the red-breasted flycatcher, which is now, I believe, Phasedula parva. So this is Phasedula albicilla. The other one is Phasedula parva. This used to be Musca kappa parva. So my little take home from all this is that bird names change. They change for many reasons. Scientists are always revising things, splitting species, lumping species, discovering new DNA phylogenies that cause rearrangements of genera of species. And so bird names change for many, many reasons. Quite a scene here with all the birders watching this little taiga flycatcher, and all the people walking or running by wondering what we're all peering up into the trees looking at. And some are quite disappointed when it is not an owl but is a little gray bird, and it takes a lot of explanation as to what the fascination is.